This video is going to be about Lamar Jackson's historical performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Of course, it's a small sample size. He's only started 3 games against the Steelers defense. Now, to be honest with you and be upfront, A, this is going to be a long-form video. B, most of what occurs in these games is due to the Steelers defense and how they deploy in terms of coverages. And let me start off by saying all of their coverages and their coverage versatility is possible because of one person, and that's TJ Watt. To a lesser extent, Cameron Hayward. But generally, it's because TJ Watt is a one-man wrecking crew against the Ravens, has a matchup advantage against all of the right tackles that have been deployed against him since at least 2018, 2019. I did a video talking about TJ Watt's impact against the various tackles that the Ravens have deployed, and you can check that video out here. I'll link it in the top right corner. But look, this again, as I mentioned, this is going to be a small sample size. Lamar's only played 3 games as a starting quarterback against the Steelers, but the effect they've had on him has been significant, in my opinion. And this is coming from Lamar Jackson's my favorite player. He was someone that I rooted for the Ravens to draft in the 2018 draft before the draft even started. So you're listening to a person who is a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but they have had an impact. Let me read you some of the stats, and then we're going to go through it year by year. Again, I mentioned this is going to be a long-form video. First, the Steelers, in my opinion, have deployed 5 core coverages. There's been some alterations or some slight details that they change. Generally, it's cover 3. You saw a lot of that from 2019. That's what a lot of teams played against Lamar in 2019. 2 read, which I will go into in depth and use 2020 film to do so. Man free, cover 1, man free, sometimes with a low hole dropper and a free safety in the middle of the field, sometimes with just a free safety in the middle of the field so the Steelers can get a 5th rusher. A zone blitz concept, so 3 deep and 3 under and 5 rushers. And then quarters, what some people mistakenly call cover 4. But let's look at the stats from his 3 games as a starting quarterback against the Steelers. Totals for those 3 games. 55 for 93 passing, so 59%. That's 5 points below his career completion percentage. So that's significant. 4 touchdowns passing and 6 interceptions. And those interceptions have come against a variety of coverages, as you'll see. 634 passing yards total, so about 211 per game. 16 sacks taken, including 7 in the 2021 game in Pittsburgh that the Steelers won 20-19 on the Ravens' unsuccessful 2-point attempt after what could have been the game-tying touchdown pass to Sammy Watkins with like 12 seconds left. And now I'm going to start with the 2021 game in terms of film. And that one was in Week 13, and Lamar did not play later on in this season at home in Week 18. But that game from 2021 was actually his most effective game against Keith Butler's defense. Now, Keith Butler's moved on. They got a new defensive coordinator. I'll talk about their staff later. 23 for 37 passing for 253 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Right? This is this is the first interception of the game, first drive of the game. And you can see the Steelers bringing max pressure and getting heat on Lamar. Because at this point, this is the 11th play of the drive, and this is a 3rd down, I believe. It's a 3rd and 6. Yeah, 3rd and 6. And they just decided we're not going to let Lamar, make a play with his feet. This is after the Miami game. So teams have understood now we got to make Lamar get the ball out of his hands. And you can see it's a terrible decision. Terrible decision. Cover 0 from the Steelers in terms of a coverage standpoint. Most of these plays, I'll have the coverage listed up here, in the data for you to check out. I contend, and I have contended for over a year, that field goals do not lose football games. And I know that a lot of people disagree with that, and that's fine. The respect to which I disagree is turnovers in the red zone lose football games. And sacks that you take in field goal range also lose football games. That first throw can't be overstated. Really bad decision, bad pass protection, bad throw, everything. You have it all. And it haunted the Ravens because we ended up being down by 1 and going for 2 with 12 seconds left. Theoretically, we could have been ahead in that game, or that touchdown could have put us ahead. When I say that touchdown, I mean the one to Sammy Watkins. Point being, let's be honest. We, as Ravens fans, have underestimated the Steelers for 3 years. We have. We can all look at the schedule and see the talent that we have and the defense that we have and compare it to theirs. And a lot of times we say, oh, we're going to sweep them. By the way, this is a throw against cover 4. In that drive that we go down to have the chance to tie the football game or take the lead. You got the clear out route by Duvernay, which I just annotated, and then the deep dig by Marquise Brown. Sitting in this open space here, Lamar finds him nicely. Great catch, wide open space. Huge gain on a 3rd and 14. You'll get the end zone angle as well. But look, the Steelers have swept the Ravens 2 years in a row. 2020 and 2021. They've swept the Ravens. This is going to be the vertical by Duvernay, and once he gets off screen, Brown's going to bring this route back into the middle, obviously way deep, at a further depth than that. So when Lamar has had time and the coverage has given him the opportunity, he's been able to complete passes against them. I contend that they have done a great job of holding him down, specifically because of T.J. Watt. We have difficulty pass proing and putting enough receivers out in routes. I contend that this is quarters here, and it's going to be a blown coverage by the Mike linebacker, which is Devin Bush here. He's going to run with the running back out in the flats, open up the middle of the field for Devin Duvernay. Wide open. You can see that Bush is on the running back Freeman, and this guy are playing like just underneath coverage in quarters, and Bush, if you ask me, vacated the middle of the field. But, I don't know their coverage calls. But in any case, the Steelers have demonstrated across these 3 years to be able to play good to great defense against the Ravens, even when they haven't had equivalent talent, if you ask me. You can see Bush is going with the running back Freeman. Lamar has seen the open area. I think he was initially looking for Marquise Brown off on the right-hand side. Comes back, finds Duvernay late. I think Lamar's gotten better against them. As I said, I think his best game against the Steelers was this last one in 2021. And I think he was really good early on the first drive, except for the interception. And then really good late on this last touchdown drive here. I think he was 5 for 6 passing. And I love this play. I've broken this one down many times. You can see that initially he was looking off here to the right, and I'll show you the end zone angle so you can see it. He's coming back now to what I would say is his second read, Duvernay. And the concept is cool. I like this concept. Duvernay on the deeper in route, and then the underneath drag, which seems to be delayed, like slow pace by Watkins. Bateman has run that route multiple times. Anyway, Lamar chooses not to throw the ball to Duvernay. This is a 3rd and 5. Comes back to Watkins. That's a great throw. A great route by Watkins. Awesome job. So by no means am I saying Lamar can't play against the Steelers. I'm just showing you the facts and showing you the film. They have done a great job, if you ask me, of holding him down. First part of his read, off to his right, our left, off screen. Pump fake. Comes back here to the middle briefly. You saw his helmet. Here you'll see his helmet come back to the middle briefly and then go back to Watkins and deliver the football. That's great quarterbacking, no matter who it is back there. He happens to be my favorite player, so I've shown this one numerous times. Earlier in the game against the Steelers, we had adjusted, and I'm showing you this in reverse. So I will show you 2020 film and 2019 after this. Now, I do have all the breakdown data for here, but what you're generally going to be looking at is concept and then coverage. That's generally what you'll be looking for if there's too much data up there for you. So we use a lot of underneath throws early against the Steelers in 2021. I think you've got a version of cover 3 here. You've got deep thirds there. And Ricard's motion to this side basically pulled the flat defender into the hash. You've got 2 hash defenders, a curl player, and then a flat player. We know when the ball is on our right hash for the offense. So like right now, the ball is on the right hash. T.J. Watt, who always lines up on the left, is a threat to drop out into the flats. And then that allows the Steelers to be real multiple with their pass rushes. Get an inside linebacker or even a strong safety involved. But in any case, out here to the field, great job by Lamar. taking the check down, something we want to see him do more of. He looked a whole lot more comfortable in 2021 against the Steelers, even though he was sacked 7 times. That sounds crazy to say. Coming back again, I think the third part of his read there to Freeman, awesome stuff. I know we swept the Steelers in 2000, and hopefully there's some Steelers fans watching. But I know we swept the Steelers in 2019. But let's be honest, the Ravens were superior in 2019. We should have beaten them. We should have beaten them more clearly the first time, and I'll show you a little film from that game. We could have easily lost that game in 2000. So I'm giving credit to the Steelers for keeping games close and then winning the last 4. And I know the injuries, play a role. But look, our O-line has not matched their defense's physicality since 2019. They just haven't. We have not had a great handle on their coverages. Keith Butler and these guys have mixed their coverages up well. Not to say that they confuse Lamar, but they force us to. They'll take away our first read or maybe even our second one. And then by the time we're on to our third read, the pass rush is there because of TJ Watt. So they've done a great job, if you ask me, of coordinating things. The first time Lamar saw them as a starter, he threw 3 interceptions. So here's a early in the game empty pass play. You got the same route by Watkins going across. I think this route's got to be hit more often, to be honest with you. It's there now. Lamar scrambles. We're getting Duvernay out into the flats. He appears open as well. This linebacker initially looked like he was going to go in coverage. That's Joe Schobert. I'll slow motion this. He initially looks like he's going to go out in coverage with Duvernay. And he must get in the field of vision of Lamar, because look at what we've got developing here. This route is there. That's a route that's got to be hit more often in 2021. Of course, Lamar has incredible athleticism, so he's able to turn it into a 12-yard gain. Not every quarterback can do that. Is it possible that the Ravens have figured out how to attack the Steelers? Maybe. I still contend that we're going to have trouble over here no matter who is our right tackle. And I have done a video, showing Morgan Moses being successful against TJ Watt from 2020 during his time in Washington. But still, TJ Watt is going to have an impact. TJ Watt's going to make plays no matter who he's going up against. So there's going to be times where we're going to have to chip him. Now, this is a nice job by McCarry of pushing him upfield. But in some cases, there's a designed blitz inside of that B gap that essentially the Steelers are baiting us by running Watt upfield. I'm not saying that is, the case there, but it's possible. Same game, 2021. Going to have a tailback chip and then a zone blitz by the Steelers. So this is the tailback, which is Latavius Murray. He's going to chip Watt and then release down here, which is a common concept that we used. It's almost like mesh, because what ends up happening is Mark Andrews from the other side of the field is running the under, and then Murray is chipping Watt, and he's also running a drag, but over the top of Andrews' route. So if you watch my video from last week about mesh concepts, that is the mesh concept. 2 underneath drags. Normally you'll have a guy sitting in the middle of the field. We don't here because Marquise Brown and another receiver from that same side essentially run a flood concept or a high-low over there, giving Lamar another option. It's a cool concept. We attack them with our running backs, if you ask me. We really attacked them with our running backs. I thought we came out with a great plan. You can see this was third and 9. So another example of us converting a third down with an underneath pass play. That's something that Lamar has to do more often, but I think it's got to be coached into him. He's clearly been coached to attack downfield a lot. These are easy route concepts that are there and give us the opportunity to convert and keep possession of the football. Now, this one is after a sack later on in the game, 2nd and 24. And again, it's going to be a tailback check down. And I believe it's against cover 3. And I haven't shown or broken down any of the coverages yet. If you want to second guess me or notice something about the coverage and put it in the comment section, go right ahead. That's what I put this video out here for. Ball's on the right hash again. You can see TJ Watt Pre-snap alignment, a little wide. He's dropping out to the flats. So here's your cover 3, middle of the field, free safety. Third corner. Cover 3 typically has 3 deep corners and then 4 underneath droppers. There they are there. And then 4 pass rushers. That's the cover 3 that is, traditional. Another check down, this one to Latavius Murray, and then he brings it back all the way across the field, showing a nice little burst. 18-yard gain on 2nd and 24. I believe that was on the first drive as well. I mistakenly said that was later on in the game. Lamar's definitely on something here in terms of where his helmet is looking. Still there, so he's probably on his second portion of the read. Maybe he's looking for Watkins coming into this space here. And then comes back to Murray on the other side of the screen. So, again, I think vastly improved passing game in terms of his performance against the Steelers in 2021. 7 sacks, the really horrible interception on the first drive. Makes it difficult for me to make that argument. Someone could come on here and say, you don't know what you're talking about, man. He didn't have a good performance against the Steelers. Well, he certainly could play better. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's check out some film from 2020. And I'm going to show you a coverage called 2-read. Now, in the system that I'm familiar with and that I have ran, we used colors for our coverages, so we called it orange. So what we're going to talk about is the corner on the left-hand side of the screen here, lined up over number 15. Now, again, this film is from 2020. So this film's from 2020, so this 15 is Marquise Brown. And that 2-read, what it means is the strong safety and the corner, strong safety is on the defense's left on your screen, and the corner are both reading number 2. So the number 2 receiver, in this case, is James Prochet. He was wearing number 3. If the number 2 receiver goes out, runs an out, a bubble, a China out, which is what he runs on this first play, then the corner jumps it. And the strong safety rolls over the top. A third part of this that is complementary but necessary is the Mike backer being inside leverage of the number 2 receiver. So you see on the screen, I have him drawn up, and then I have him kind of like walling out Prochet. You will see examples of this. I'm going to show you 3 plays. I'm going to show you how RG3 was unable to read it and threw a pick 6 to Joe Hayden. How Trace McSorley adjusted later on in the game, but he had the benefit of seeing that play on film, then him and RG3 obviously talking about it. So if you reverse the roles, Trace McSorley probably would have thrown a pick first, and then RG3 probably would have made the adjustment. And then 2021, Lamar not recognizing the coverage pre-snap, and then recognizing it during the play, and luckily getting a pass interference call out of it. So here's the film. We'll let it run. It's 2-read. Some people might have different. It's a split field call. So what it means is these 2 guys are both reading 2 on this side. And over here on the other side, these 3 guys could have made a totally independent call. They could have a totally different call in to read that side of the field. That's what a split field coverage is. It means the field is split in half, and these guys down here are making their own independent call to deal with these 3, and then these 3 guys down here are making their own call to deal with those 2. Forgive me for stopping and talking too much. You've probably seen this play already a bunch of times. RG3 throws the football on the little China out or whip route to Prochet, who was actually number 11. I had him mislabeled number 3. You get the end zone angle, and then I'll pull it back to the all-22. The complementary part of it, again, is that inside linebacker. I think this is Avery Wilson, underrated, good football player. You can see he was inside leverage on Prochet, not going to let him cross his face. Hayden jumped it. Easy pick, finishes the play. That's TJ Watt laying on top of RG3. All right, let's break it down the way that I'm talking about it. You got a China out here, and then a vertical release. I think that's Boykin there. Watch Hayden. Look at Hayden isn't looking at Boykin at all. Now you may say, well, that's because Boykin's no good. No, it's not. That's the coverage call that they made. He's getting high, so he's getting depth to be able to play that vertical even over here towards the sideline. Hayden's got eyes right on RG3, who doesn't recognize the coverage at all. Look, RG3 just started to pull the pin on the grenade. Just started to throw the football. Hayden's already making his break. Prochet didn't have a chance. Easy, right? If we threw the vertical, the safety theoretically could cover it up. But later on in the game, RG3 got knocked out of the game, if you recall. We brought in McSorley. So I think this was intentional. I think the Ravens intentionally, look, they're making their coverage call now. They're making their coverage call right now. And I don't know if that's still Hayden there. I'm not sure. But he's made some kind of call with the safety, and we've got the same situation. He's reading 2. Look, face mask looking in. McSorley, that's Lamar, my bad. I got this in the wrong order, my bad. This is 2021, so Hayden's not playing. The McSorley play will be next. Lamar recognizes it, but only once the play has happened. He's already started to pull the pin on the grenade here, and the corner's breaking, same as the Hayden play. But he's able to recognize it, hold on to the ball. It's too late to get this football out here unless he can set his feet and throw. He was unable to set his feet. This ball needed, and you'll see from the McSorley play, this ball needs to be thrown here now. But to read is a split field coverage call that you don't know they're making, that they don't play every time. So it's not like the Steelers play that coverage every time. And that's one of the points I'm trying to make is the Steelers do a great job of being multiple with their coverages, particularly against the Ravens. Look at Schobert. I think one of the, I don't want to say giveaways, but one of the things that is a pre-snap tell is that the inside linebacker is going to be kind of close to that number 2, but on the inside leverage. You can see how far he is outside the tackle. You can see the alignment that he's taking in terms of his leverage to that number 2 receiver. Lamar's pump faked. Luckily, nobody's on him. Wish he had set his feet and threw this ball vertical. We could have probably got it out there. But, definitely interference, so we got a positive play out of it. We definitely would have liked to have had a touchdown, though. Am I saying that, Lamar should have known this coverage was coming? Well, no. He doesn't know the coverage is coming. But there are certain situations, formation-wise, that are pretty hard tell, could give the quarterback information to look at a certain read and decide what they're doing. All right, this is the 2020 play later on in the game. This is the game where we had so many guys out for injury, I think even for the virus. It's a touchdown pass to Marquise Brown. Same read, corner and the safety are reading number 2, which is Tomlinson. Tomlinson is going to break this thing out. And look, the corner's breaking again. Ball's already out by McSorley, but he's hit the hole shot, meaning he's thrown it over top of the corner and underneath the safety, and Marquise Brown catches it, takes it to the house. Am I saying we should be able to do this all the time? Well, no. I'm saying the Steelers force us to recognize the coverage. Look at the leverage that Spillane has. Sometimes a pre-snap indicator is the leverage side of a linebacker or a safety. I'm not saying that this is the only indicator. It's not. There's other indicators as well. But that's one of them, is that he's going to force the receiver to go outside, not let him cross his face, because he knows he's got outside help on an out, on a China out, whatever. But McSorley had seen it already. I briefly mentioned it earlier. I'll say it again. If McSorley started the game and hadn't seen this coverage earlier, he probably would have thrown a pick 6, or maybe he would have. And then RG3, if he had come in later, probably would have made the adjustment. My point is, it's not about comparing quarterbacks. It's about comparing the situations when these teams play these particular coverages. Now, let's get back to the point of the video. The Steelers play a lot of different coverages against us. That's what makes it difficult. That's what holds us down. It isn't that we're not smart. It isn't that Lamar's not smart. Look at this. I'm going to show you, I think, 9 or 10 plays from 2019. Lamar's first game as a starter against the Steelers, that is. And look at the all the way over to the right-hand column. You've got man free. You've got cover 2. You've got 2-man. The fifth one that says cover 3 fifths, that's a goal line coverage. I'll briefly explain it. The invert cover 2, which just means a drop safety. Man free. 2 read, which is the same one I just showed you. 2 versions of cover 3, and then a blown coverage on a nice completion to Willie Snead. So my point in trying to relate the 2020 video to this 2019 video is, yes, are we able to recognize a specific situation like that 2 read? Yes, we are. McSorley recognized it, touchdown. Lamar recognized it post-snap. He didn't recognize it pre-snap because maybe they hadn't shown it in an entire year, right? Because we're talking about the separation of a year. I say shown it, I mean shown it against us. Point is, though, there's a lot of situations and a lot of coverages that the Steelers play against us. in their attempt to be very multiple. That means they're well trained, they're well coached, they're smart, and they're adaptable. So they're a formidable opponent. And no one, least of all me, should assume that we're just going to sweep them because we have what we as Ravens fans think is a superior team. They think they had a great draft as well. So they probably think they're a superior team. We'd like to think that we're right. Let's look at some of the 2020 film and just break down what they were playing. Again, same thing. Coverage is up here. Down and distance is up here in the top left. If I can get the mouse to work. All right, this is a design play by the Ravens against man free. That linebacker is manned up on Justice Hill, and we're running a pick concept with Nick Boyle down here, where he's going to try to pick the inside backer, I think it's number 26. Maybe it's 29, strong safety. Yeah, he's trying to pick him here, force him to go underneath, so Justice Hill can run to the corner. I mean, this ball's thrown near the goal line. It's over. It's a touchdown. But you can see Lamar's focus is here. I think you got Andrews and Brown in the middle there. So we have a design play to the backside of trips. When I say backside of trips, I mean, here's your trips. Here's the one receiver and a halfback. We have a design play to the backside of trips. We're just not taking advantage of it. Lamar looked like he glanced over there. Maybe we'll see it from the end zone angle a little better. Throws it just slightly behind Marquise Brown. And when I say slightly, I mean very slightly behind Marquise Brown. We know the coverage is man because that strong safety 29 went over there with Justice Hill. Let's check out Lamar's helmet. Yeah, so he definitely glanced. He definitely looked over here at this guy right here. I wish that he had, stayed with it and then thrown the ball at a loft over there towards the pylon. Justice Hill would have a touchdown catch. He's on Andrews. So 1, over there, Justice Hill, Nick Bull's side. That's the first read. 2, he's on Andrews. He sees Fitzpatrick is able to make a break, and he's got a trailing Joe Hayden there. So that's 2. And then the third part of this progression, throwing it to Marquise Brown. I mean, when I say slightly behind, I mean, yeah, you like for this ball to be right out here, right? And keep it away from the defender. I'm not sure the defender actually got hands on it, to be honest with you. And maybe it was a little further behind than I illustrated. All right, the next one is a cover 2 from the first quarter of that 2019 game. We had to come back late just to tie that game. We had to get a game-tying field goal. We were down 26-23. So even though I think in some ways we were more talented, we were lucky to get out of there with a win in 2019 when we were 14-2. This is obviously zone. I don't know why we're motioning the tight end across and then bringing him back. The outside linebacker Dupree is apexed out over number 2. It's a great call by the Steelers. It's our classic RPO where the back is crossing face and the number 2 receiver's coming in here. The third element of this would be Lamar don't give it, don't throw it, and then take off around the edge. Steelers have great pursuit, though, but if you may recall, that play worked, with Lamar scrambling as the third option against the Browns at home really well twice. From the end zone angle, you'll get a view of it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this type of breakdown. I'm showing you how versatile they are. I believe this is a cover 2. It's definitely a cover 2 to the side where the tight end comes back to. Because you've got a safety up high, and then off screen here to the right, you've got a corner. So that's cover 2 technique. He could have given this football, maybe. If he's reading this inside backer or, nickel defender in the box, 26. I don't remember his name. I don't mean to be disrespectful. But Bud Dupree makes a nice play. Bud Dupree is an underrated pass guy. Zone pass drops, he's good. Man stuff, I've seen him cover wheel routes. Really underrated player. Wish he'd never torn his ACL. We're unable to come up with the football. An example of 2-man here, again, late in the first quarter on a second down. So 2-man is going to be man with 2 high safeties deep. And what you're going to get is 2 verticals, one by the tight end here and one by Justice Hill, who went out in motion. Your classic Ravens concept. Clear outs and then a Z under by Marquise Brown. 2nd and 10. We're not able to pick up the first down. I think we get it on the next play, though, but I could be wrong. Those concepts have served us well against the Steelers. I showed you the ones from 2021 early in the game, right? Throwing underneath of their coverage has served us well. You can see Lamar, has got time, ending up high in the pocket, no pass rush, easy. Good stuff. All right, goal line play or down in the goal line. Early second quarter, we've taken a 10-7 lead. And some people will call this cover 3 with 3 deep defenders and 4 underneath droppers. All right, no problem. We would call it fifths, and I'll explain that in a minute, but it's a great catch by Marquise Brown. Just a great catch. You get a little bit of a sense of it here, catching it with one defender on his back. Contact there. But let me explain fifths real quick. When we would say fifths to our kids, we would say 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4, and 5. We would say that was our fifths. You were defending, from about the 4 to about the 1 yard inside the goal line, somewhere around there. And then the other 2 guys are not. It's not cover 2. You don't think of it that way. What we would say is first guy vertical between here, somebody's got to take him. First guy vertical between here, somebody's got to take him. So what we would try to do is limit your ability to throw it, in this area here and this area here. Now, the reason why I'm explaining that, watch what Marquise Brown does. He runs vertical in between the top of the numbers and the hash, and nobody takes him. TJ Watt opens and gets to the flats. He's outside 2. This inside linebacker is inside 3. So there's a seam there. If you're not sure what I mean by 2 and 3, this is the number 1 receiver. That's the number 2. Boyle is the number 3. As this develops, you can see Watt is outside 2, which was Marquise Brown. Inside linebackers inside 3. So you've got this natural seam here that we always felt like was the easiest throw for the quarterback. It's not an easy completion here because you got great athletes in the NFL, but that was our concept. We called it fifths. Sometimes we played sixths. We would cut the field into 6 pieces. But in any case, touchdown Marquise Brown. Great throw, great catch. You see the different coverages that the Steelers are playing, though, to try to not confuse Lamar, but to try to give us a lot of looks. We're up 17-7 now, mid-second quarter. It's a 3rd and 11. This one's disappointing, very disappointing. They play invert cover 2 on one side, and we throw an interception. Up 17-7, defense playing really well. Now, this is obviously a pass interference, obviously. And it wasn't called. Look at the contact you got here. And I believe the football is right around in here. That might be the ball there. No, I was wrong on that. But look when the contact occurs. Ball hasn't even arrived. I mean, obviously pass interference. But, should that ball be thrown in the middle of the field and all of that coverage, I would not prefer that ball to be thrown. But we don't know what Lamar was reading. I'm going to be honest with you. End zone angle. My bad. End zone angle. They've lined up this safety 29 up near the line of scrimmage and then dropped him back. Fitzpatrick is jumping it. Makes contact. There's the football. Well before the ball gets there. Clearly should have been called, but hey, they're always going to reward aggressiveness. So kudos to the Steelers for being aggressive. All right, they've cut it to 17-10. And now we're late in the second quarter. We're going to take a sack. Man free. Going to kind of breeze through this a little bit. I didn't mean for this to go 30-plus minutes. We had a lot of success throwing the ball to Willie Snead late in the game. Didn't target him much early. I thought maybe we could have got this ball out into the flats to him. But again, you never know what the first guy in the progression is. It definitely appears as if he's looking here. Somewhere in this window here is where Lamar's looking. We'll see better from the end zone angle. I think he's looking for Boyle underneath or Seth Roberts as the second guy. Second guy across. We're going giving you one of these. Some people call it levels. Where you got one level going across and the second level going across. Free safety's trying to jump it. We end up taking a sack. Man free with 5 rushers. 2, 3, 4, 5. Watch what Yonda does to 34. Knocks him off his path. Orlando Brown does a nice job on T.J. Watt initially. Lamar doesn't think he has anywhere to go with the football. Maybe you can bring it to Seth Roberts in here, but it's pressure, man. It's difficult. It's difficult to second guess people. I have difficulty second guessing people, to be honest with you, especially when they're dealing with the pressure that he's dealing with, against the Steelers. All right, this one is later in the second quarter. Two read clouds, similar to that 2020 coverage that I showed you. But this is going to be real interesting the way they do it. They're gonna read it with the corner and the nickel defender because they got trips. But Lamar can't throw here because the nickel's jumping it. He can't throw here because Hayden's ready to jump it. His throw is, again, the whole shot up the sideline because they're playing that two read. Some people call it cloud in the old, cover two structure. We end up taking a sack from Hayward. I want to break it down real quick. Let's just pretend that this guy's not here. The two read would just be this guy and the safety reading two, like I showed you from the 2020 film. So Snead running the out, this corner could jump it. Number one going up the sideline, this strong safety would take it. Simultaneous to that, a really cool wrinkle that they've got here is the nickel is also reading Snead. So when Snead goes out, he stays on the outside of three. I didn't draw them lines well, but I think three sits somewhere in here. I think it's Andrews or Boyle. And the nickel stays outside of him. Yes, Andrews. So he's outside of Andrews. Nope, can't throw it there. He's outside of Snead. Can't throw it there either. So Lamar, who's in the middle of pulling the pin on the grenade, has to pump fake, hold the ball, and we can't get the ball, up the sideline to the guy who would be open. Point is, now Lamar does an unbelievable flip to Ingram here that you'll get a better view of from the end zone angle. They make things happen fast. And they put indecision in his mind about where and when to throw the football. This first pump fake here is going to be going to Andrews. Watch. He can't do that because of the nickel defender that I showed you. The second pump fake is out to the outside, which I think was Snead running the out. He can't do that because of the corner, which I believe was Hayden. Then he's got to take a sack. Well, he doesn't. He flips it underhand to Mark Ingram, who catches the ball. They called it a sack. Unbelievable play. They have installed, over the course of his 3 games against them, they've installed indecision later in the second quarter, and you're going to get another interception, this one on a 2nd and 13. They've got him really confused here at this point, to be honest with you. You've got, and I don't like this route structure. You got an out, and then a deeper out to the sideline. Really don't like this at all. Because you basically bring in a guy and a defender underneath of this long throw. I suspect that someone might have read this wrong. You don't see this a whole lot. Typically, when you see the out here, you're going to see the slant or the post here. You're going to see a slant and an out, or a post and an out, something like that. Or you might see an out and up. So giving that corner, so basically forcing this corner to go deep so that you can throw this out. Or reading, the corner, or reading somebody, whatever, reading the corner of the nickel, and then go vertical here if you think this is well covered. I mean, they basically brought a defender underneath of that out route by, I think it was Seth Roberts. I might be wrong there. Not Seth Roberts. Cover 3, essentially, but it looked like man on the backside here. Pretty bad. I don't like that at all. All right, third interception, 2019, third quarter. We're up 17-13. Of course, we know this game flipped. They ended up being up 23-20. This is an amazing play by Devin Bush, I believe, on a vertical route that we aren't really open. Like, we're not open, but we think we've got cover 3 and a free safety on this side of the hash. So we think that this area is open and we will throw it onto it. I think Boyle gets his hand on the football and Devin Bush somehow comes up with a great play. Unbelievable play. Pretty good coverage, too. Not to discount the coverage. Pretty good coverage, so he deserves it. Inside leverage, inside hip of number 3, which is where you want to be most cases. I mean, I think it's a hell of a throw. You tell me what you think. I think that's a hell of a throw and a hell of an effort by both of those guys. Say Boyle got his hands on it and Devin Bush dislodges it maybe. Or just grabs it. I don't know. That's one of them that if it happens on Madden or college football, you sit there and throw the control and you think, well, how the hell did that happen? That never happens in real life. Well, it did. Last one, I think this is a blown coverage. We're down now 17 or 20 to 17. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. We started to hit Snead later on in this game. Little over concept, play action with the running back. The cool thing about the Ravens design when we run these over concepts is the number one receiver to the side we're running to is typically just running a clear out route. So I'm talking about here. He's running a clear out route. So what he's doing is he's trying to get this corner to turn his back so that as this route develops, and the reason for this clear out route, why I'm calling it a clear out route, we could complete this pass here. If for whatever reason we can't, if this corner's back is turned, you have 2 or 3 or even 4 options about where to complete this over concept to Snead. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. I got it listed as a blown coverage. I'm not sure what they were exactly trying to play. Snead really hit them hard late in this game. Underrated football player. Hey, look, I'm gonna wrap this up. We're lying to ourselves as Ravens fans if we don't think the Steelers have done a good job defending Lamar in terms of the pass game. Did we run the ball down their throats at home in 2020? Absolutely. Did we run the ball down their throats last year? No, we didn't. I don't think so. Until that second game we played them at home. I'm referring to the game in Pittsburgh. I think we had 107 rushing yards. Now, we did destroy them with the run at home, basically out of their nickel front. When they went to their base 3-4, we still had trouble running the ball. Do I think it's Lamar's fault? Some of it. Do I think it's our coach's fault? Some of it. I think it's everybody's fault. But you have to give credit to the defense. They're very multiple. I showed you, I know it's not attractive, but I showed you that as to illustrate how many different coverages they played on just the 10 plays that I picked. The last of which was the blown coverage that Willie Snead was able to bust there late in the game. Fortunately, we were able to come back and win that game. If not, we're looking at one win in the last 6 games against the Steelers. We all sit here and look at the schedule this year, and we count 2 wins against them. Man, we better just hope we get at least one. For real. We better hope we get at least that first one, and then we'll deal with the second one later. Let me know what you guys think of this type of video. Obviously, long form video, way longer than most videos that I do, but I felt it was warranted. I mean, out of respect for the Steelers, number one. I know they have a new defensive coordinator per se, Terrell Austin. I did want to talk about that. Keith Butler used a lot of classic time-tested concepts with the Steelers. Carl Dunbar is a new defensive coordinator. I'm sorry, Terrell Austin is a new defensive coordinator. But Carl Dunbar's been there for like 4 or 5 years. He's the interior D-line coach. Jerry Olsavsky is in his 7th season as their inside linebackers coach. Terrell Austin is in his 3rd year, I think as the DB coach. Now he's the defensive coordinator. Then they hired Brian Flores as the linebackers and senior defensive assistant. We know that he had a big hand in shutting down the Ravens last year in Miami with that sticks blitz zero concept on a Thursday night game. So let's take those 4 guys. Terrell Austin, the new DC, Carl Dunbar, Jerry Olsavsky, and Brian Flores. They have a combined 60 years coaching in the NFL. Simply put, they're going to have the defense in good position. And 3 of those guys have been on staff the last 3 years in terms of dealing with Lamar Jackson. So they are going to have an idea of what they want to do, and we're going to have to make adjustments. I think we did in the 2021 game that Lamar played in. Throwing the football more underneath, some more spread formations. Then, of course, the home game last year against them, Latavius Murray had a huge game and really punished them with the run. I'm interested to see what we do. By no means am I saying that I think they're going to sweep us. I think we absolutely can win both games against the Steelers this year. I am hoping to do previews like this for the Browns and the Bengals. I have done, a Bengals video about Joe Burrow's reliance on empty, but I'm going to do more so the Bengals defense and the Browns defense, how they defend Lamar, how they think they have been able to limit us. hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did not, please let me know. I put a lot of work into this one. This one probably took me about 6 or 8 days to complete. And some of the annotation, forgive me for the lag on some of the plays loading. My program that I use to load it runs off internet, and my internet is quite inconsistent. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comment section. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate you guys supporting and always checking out the videos. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel.